Hi everybody, this is Jesse. I'm here with Chris from Military Aviation History, and we are just outside Munich at the German Air Museum in Schleißheim, and we are standing in front of a Fokker D7, which was an extremely important aircraft in the latter stages of the First World War. So Chris, why don't you tell us a bit about why this aircraft, this model in particular, played an important role in 1918?
Yeah, so basically the Fokker is introduced in 1918 into the German Luftstreitkräfte, and it, on the domestic scale, sees the reversal of aircraft procurement away from companies like Albatros back to Fokker, who of course started in 1916 with the Fokker Eindecker. And if we already look at the aircraft, it might not be as pretty. It looks a little bit cumbersome as some of the other aircraft from that time period, but it was actually a very good fighting machine. It had some very good flying characteristics, a very docile stall, and the lift of this aircraft was excellent. If you look at the top wing, the airfoil there, Göttingen 418, gave the aircraft some great lift. The armament is standard, 2 machine guns, synchronized, of course, firing through the propeller. And one of the things that astonished the Allies with this aircraft, next to, of course, the reports from the pilots that I got, where they say, oh, the Germans are rolling out with an aircraft that is quite astonishingly and quite powerful, was the engine. Now, the early Fokkers used a normal operated Mercedes engines, comes back from the D3, the A and the AU, and this is roughly 180 horsepower, compression ratio higher as well, so it works well at altitude. But especially because we're here in Bavaria, there's a very interesting development that takes place, and that is the engine is changed to Bayern, or BMW as we know it now. And this is once again an operated engine, and this gives the aircraft quite a lot of extra performance, and especially at altitude. And when the Allies get their hands on these BMW Fokkers, they actually, in their internal reports, they quite honestly say it looks like the Germans have finally broken the stalemate that they had with engine procurement, where it was centered around the monopoly that Mercedes had, and they're coming out with new designs, and this is quite worrying.
Okay. Now, at the end of the war, this aircraft played a particular role in the Allies' demands, let's say, for German disarmament and handing over our arms. And there's also a few question marks surrounding that, yes, in what people might find out there on the internet if they're doing some quick research. Yeah. So why don't you kind of set things straight for us on that? Yeah,
so the popular history is always that in the Treaty of Versailles, it is named by name, the aircraft is named by name, as saying, hand us over these aircraft. The Treaty of Versailles does not name this. If you actually look at Article 202, I believe it is, that is where it talks about aeronautical equipment. It talks about engines, it talks about machine guns, and it talks about the general aircraft that Germany has available. It never mentions the D7. In the conditions for the armistice, which was of course signed on the 11th of November, 5 a.m., came into force at 11 a.m., that's where the D7 is named by name. So it is a different treaty, it's a different agreement, and it might be a technicality, but it's important to get these things right.
Right, and after that, in the period that we've now been covering quite intensively on the Great War Channel, so 1919, 1920, this aircraft continues to play a role. The young Polish Air Force used it. They bought some from France, but they also captured some from the Germans in the Greater Poland Uprising in January 1919, and we covered that at the time as well in one of our episodes. The Soviet Union also bought some and used them. So in the Polish-Soviet War, you have them on both sides. The Hungarian Air Force also used them. I should say the Hungarian Soviet Republic Air Force used them in the war with Romania. And I'm forgetting one. There's one other. Yes. There were quite a few examples that were then taken back to Western countries, yes, Canada, France, England, and the United States especially, yep, as trophies, but also for testing purposes. Absolutely. And the Americans even put their own Liberty 6 engines in, yep, them to test them out. So this aircraft was significant enough that it still kind of played a role after the First World War officially ended, at least the Great Power War with the armistice in 1918.
Yeah, the nice thing about this aircraft is indeed that even though a lot of the aircraft that Germany had at the end of the war were essentially just left to rot, there's quite a few of these that got out. So they flew to neighboring countries or they were taken over, of course, as you said. Poland even got a whole factory because Ostdeutsche Albatros-Werke had a factory in what is nowadays Poland where they produce these aircraft. And one of the astonishing things, of course, is that Anthony Fokker, who was a Dutch, took quite a few aircraft. We're not quite sure how many it took.
The smuggling, yes.
Exactly. He smuggled aircraft from Germany over to the Netherlands, and nobody's quite sure how much the Allies knew about this or who knew about this, how many planes actually went. But the great externality of this is that a lot of them survived, and you find them in many museums, just like here in the Flugwerft in Schleißheim next to Munich.
And if people want to learn more about the Fokker D7, you've got something in store for them. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what more they can learn from you about this aircraft?
Right. So yeah, on my channel I have a series called Inside the Cockpit, and I of course visited this museum and I also shot an episode on the Fokker D7. When that's coming out, I'm not quite sure, but it will be on the channel soon. So keep an eye out for that.
So keep your eyes peeled, subscribe to Military Aviation History so you don't miss the episode on the Fokker D7, and we will see you in the next episode.